Hello. So an important part of, well, of anything is being able to take care of our tools and our for us, take care of our instruments. While yes, they can be incredibly long lasting and are great, are very robust and sturdy, they do take a little bit of maintenance. So that's what these couple of videos will be about. This one will be about kind of our bi-weekly, more often maintenance, and the following video will be about the big clean. But for now, we're looking at what we do more often. Sorry, let me just adjust that. There we go. So, what we do all the time, quite often, is valve oil and lubricating our slides. For trombones and instruments with triggers, the slide one becomes quite important. But for now, what we're going to do is valves. So you'll understand this when you watch the big clean videos. I've just cleaned my instrument and now I'm going to go and I'm going to prepare it. I'm going to get it back running again. When we do the big clean, we take our instrument completely apart, clean it all, clean every bit of it, and assemble it again afterwards. So if you've watched the big clean, you need to do this immediately before you put your instrument, before you start playing again. Okay, how do we put oil on our valves? First of all, we must ask, what does the oil do? Why do we need to put oil on our valves? Well, in anything, oil is a lubricant. For our valves in particular, it's a very non-viscous lubricant, so they can continue to move perfectly. So let's have a go. So I've got my instrument here. Ignore the fact that there's nothing on it. We're going to oil our valve. So each valve has a bottom piece. This is the bottom piece for my first valve. You take it and you very, very carefully screw it on to the bottom piece here. What is very important to do, and you'll see it once I show it to you, what's very important to do is to thread it backwards first, lefty-loosey, until it clicks. You hear it. That means it's in, the threads are engaging, and then simply tighten it righty-tighty until it's in place. One thing I'm going to do, just to save myself some hassle later on, is put a tiny bit of valve oil in the threads, just to make sure that it doesn't get completely stuck forever. For those of you who are coming to this after cleaning your instrument, it's at this stage where the instrument starts getting dirty again, so I hope you enjoyed it while it was perfectly clean. So yeah, just a little bit of valve oil, just so that that doesn't seize, because oftentimes you might need to take the bottom off. But anyway, bottom of my valve is on. Can you see it through there? Yep, just where my finger is. There we go, just in here is where it goes. Now I take my spring, cornets. You might have to worry about this. Sometimes the springs come together, but for those of us who have springs, you literally just plonk it straight in. Then you take your first valve. Now, this is where we need to be a little bit careful. We take our valve oil, and kind of soak it, put it up the top, leave it drip down the valve. Not too much, because then it makes a mess, but just a decent bit so that all the surfaces are kind of coated. Spin it around a little bit. Now, you start to put our valve into place. It's very important that you do this when the valve's already in, when you're putting oil on it, in case it gets stuck. They should be in the same place. But when you're reassembling your instrument, it's very important to put the valve back in where it came from. So, hello. A quick editor's note for this video here today. Must do something about how I look in all of these. Anyway, oh Jesus, we're joined by the cat as well. I didn't mention it in the video. I kind of glanced over it really, about how valves have to go back in the way they came out. I didn't say what I should have said, is that your first valve has to go back where your first valve came from. Your second valve has to go back where your second valve came from. And they also have to go in the same orientation, axially, I suppose you call it. So, quick screenshot up here. these holes along the side of your valve have to line up with the holes or the tubes in your instrument. So there's a little key just at the very top, a little plastic key that will line up with a slot in your valve. Now cornets have it two ways. They have a key on either side, so that means you'll either be in this way or you'll be in this way. You'll know the second you try to blow through it if it doesn't work. But yeah, be careful about that. So the valve has to go back in the valve it came from, and it has to go back in the same orientation, rotationally. Misty's after leaving, don't worry. Back to the video. Was in, oil it up, plenty of oil, and we put it back down. Now, same thing as I did before, we're going to thread it back the way, lefty-loosey, and let's see if we can hear it. Oh, sorry. That click right there, that means the thread is engaged, and I can start turning it down. Now there's already a little bit of valve oil on this thread. I'm going to put it on again. Just make sure it wicks its way around the valve and close it down. Never, ever, ever use tools or wrenches or anything to do these. They should all be done by hand. Otherwise they may never, ever come out again. And that's all we do for our valve. So just to summarize, we put the bottom on. That should stay on if you're just greasing your valve. And if you put oil, carefully unscrew it, lift it up, put your oil on just all around it, and carefully screw it back down. The big thing is just being careful not to cross thread the threads, because they become very difficult to fix. Once it's cross threaded, there's no going back. So yeah, carefully take it, apply it all around the valve. I'm going to do it again, just more quickly. So I'm putting my second valve back on, down the bottom. Just put a little bit of oil in. By and large, you don't need to touch these during playing, but sometimes you may need to take them off from the bottom, put valve oil in from underneath, just in case the top is a bit stuck. A little bit of valve oil going in should prevent that. So spring in, take my second valve, I'm just going to position it over the valve. This one was particularly stuck the last time, so I'm going to give it a wipe. Happy days. Now, just position it over the top and put plenty of oil on. This oil ensures that the valve will continue to flow smoothly. There should be no interference here at all. Perfect. Now, put the thread on. So we're threading it backwards until we hear a solid click, and then you start threading it forwards. So lefty-loosey to go back, righty-tighty to go forward. Bang on. Be very careful when you're doing that. Okay. Slides. Slides aren't as much effort as valves, but you do still need to be careful. Okay, I'm going to do my first slide because, as I said, I'm reassembling the instrument. Let me just make sure that's the right one. Yeah. Occasionally, these do get stuck over time, so it's important to be able to clean them out again once they become stuck. So if they are very, very stuck and you cannot pull them by hand, ask someone for help. There's ways and means that are not for beginners. They're not for the faint of heart. So do ask for help. All we take is a bit of Vaseline or slide grease. Ask in the bandroom if you need some. Tip of your finger and just rub it over the top of the valve, or the slide, sorry, like that. This was lovely and clean 5 minutes ago. It's no longer clean. So yeah, just a bit of grease all over it. Now, we take one side of our slide, just slide it up one of the tubes, twisting it like this as we go. Other side, just making sure there's lubricant everywhere. Then first valve gets pressed down, slide goes in, release your first valve, or second valve, whichever slide you're doing. So yeah, there we go, just like that. I'm going to do that again for my second valve. Let me just grab my second slide. Here's my slide, tiny bit of grease just all around. not the shiny part, just the kind of matte colour part. Second valve goes down. I'm going to slide it up, twist it around just to clear anything out. I'm going to slide it up, twist it around, and there we go. Valve goes in just like that. These same principles apply whether your instrument is already put together or whether you're putting it back together after having used it. These videos are going to be longer because they take more care. If you damage your instrument or feel like you don't want to do this, ask for help, and they're very easy to damage. But follow these guidelines, you should be well able to do it. Just be careful. Now, the last thing is if anybody, trombones will have specific trombone slide grease for their slide, that's fine. If you have a trigger, you may use that trombone slide grease as well, or a little bit of valve oil. Sometimes my instrument here has a trigger. That means it's a slide that can slide in and out. Cornets, you might find it on your third valve or your first valve. Triggers that go this way. One that brings a slide this way, the other with your thumb that brings a slide that way. You might use valve oil rather than grease to grease those, because grease is quite viscous. It stops it from getting stuck, stops air from getting out, but you want those slides to be able to move. So maybe try a bit of valve oil there. Try not to have nothing because it does need a bit of lubricant, otherwise it's rubbing against itself. But look, there's a very quick summary of how to maintain your instrument. Do this every 2 weeks as you need to. With valves in particular, do it as you need to. So very carefully unscrew it. Put the valve oil around the exterior and very carefully screw it back in. Same with the slides. Take it out very carefully. Don't bend it, don't atten, otherwise it won't go back in. Apply the grease to it. You only need to do that if it's stuck. If you're trying to empty it and it's hard to come out, that's a sign of needing grease. Then you put it back in, happy days, job done. It's not a lot of effort, but doing this with your instrument does take care of it. Once a year, we'll see the big clean when we really kind of deep dive clean our instruments, but this will suffice for now, or for the kind of day-to-day we'll call it, but you don't need to do this every day. Every couple of weeks is fine. Then we get to the big clean, so I'll see you in that video.